Grimwick the Demon Cat. Book 3, The Tournament. Chapter 17, Preparation. It took some time, but Nobert did find the way out of the labyrinth, and waiting for him was Vine, Nickel, the 3 proctors, and the 7 other mages who made it past the second round. Of the 7 students still standing there, all of them looked uninjured, not even fazed of what just happened. And of course, among them was Penelope, Red, and Arthur. Penelope and Red offered Nobert a faint smile, while Arthur's lips turned into a curl. Man, this is gonna be easy. Pigboy made it. Penelope slapped Arthur's shoulder. Ow! Nobert approached the group out of breath. Once he got closer, a golden portal opened and Grimwick fell out. Still tied in webbing, he landed face first onto the stone ground. Nobert picked him up and began to pull at the webbing. Grimwick swore that this world's stone would either be used to erect his statue or be tossed into the ocean. Vine ignored them both and addressed the remaining mages. Congratulations. You each got to this point with different strategies, but you all made it. You'll have 1 week to prepare for the tournament. It will be a single elimination tournament. On the day of the tournament, you'll be randomly sorted. The goal is to defeat your opponent in combat. You may immobilize them, you may make them yield, you may render them unconscious, or you may knock them from the arena. If the proctor's field is getting too dangerous, we will intervene. You may use physical attacks, but keep in mind we are a magical academy and such measures might be brutish. Remember, your goal is not only to win, but to showcase your abilities to the world's kingdoms. She eyed Grimwick, who was mostly out of the webbing now. Physical attacks are okay, but there will be no scratching, biting, or hair pulling. Are there any questions? Does Nobert really get to bring his support animal into the arena? Arthur jeered. Grimwick snarled. Vine remained stoic. Yes, Nobert has infused this ragged cat with his magic. Therefore, the cat is able to participate. And if you recall from our classes, Mr. Bogg, the summon is only as strong as the summoner. So if you're worried about the cat, target Mr. Soot, to which you said yourself should be easy. Now, rest and prepare. Many kingdoms will be in attendance, and we want to put our best foot forward. The other students seemed eager, and even Nobert was beginning to feel confident, but Vine deflated him shortly after. Oh, and Mr. Soot, wipe that silly smile off your face and get back to your detention. When they got back to the archive, Nobert started to clean the shelves. No cleaning, Grimwick barked. We need to train. The other 7 mages barely looked hurt, which means that they either teamed up or that they were able to handle those freakish monsters themselves. But if we don't clean, Vine will make sure that we fail our classes. And if we win the tournament, we won't have to go to class or even study. You'll automatically pass the semester. So you can spend all of your time sleeping, cleaning, and baking. I don't know, Grimwick. Grimwick grew impatient and shot a fireball at Nobert. Nobert instinctively placed a shield over the book that he was holding and smacked the fireball towards the ground. Good. This is how we'll fight. I'll burn him and you shield us. Grimwick shot a fireball and then another. Nobert frantically tried to smack them away towards the ground and away from the shelves. Good, good. Grimwick smiled as he sent more fireballs towards Nobert. Eventually, Nobert caught on that Grimwick was training him. Soon, Nobert was responding with the appropriate shield to Grimwick's attacks. They continued this exercise of sparring every evening until the tournament was upon them. They'd start off by cleaning one shelf quickly at the beginning and then one at the end, to show Vine progress even if she did a surprise inspection. But the rest of the time they sparred. It was mild compared to what the other students were probably up to, but it was the most exercise either of them have gotten in months. It also gave Grimwick a chance to test the limits of his body. They continued this exercise every night until the tournament was upon them. Their tactic was finalized. Grimwick would play offense and Nobert would play defense. The evening going into the tournament, they both had a small glow of confidence growing. The 8 student mages stood in the tunnel of the arena. It was hard to ignore the buzz of excitement coming from the audience. Vine stood in front of them like a centurion. Past her was a raised stage made of marble, lowered into an intimate arena with stands rising on all sides. The stands were packed with dignitaries, donors, and special guests. From the tunnel they could only see one side of the arena, but all the guests were wearing their best attires. Vine turned to them. Each of the other proctors is in a corner of the arena. They will be watching and making sure you all don't kill each other. They'll also be on barrier duty to protect the audience from any rogue spells you might cast. I'll be just off of the stage, refereeing the match. Head Mage Turnbill will make some opening remarks. A special guest will light the ceremonial torch, and then lots will be drawn for the tournament. We start walking now. Keep your heads high and line up facing the stage. She didn't wait for questions and began to walk. The crowd roared for the students as they entered the arena, clapping, hollering, chanting. It was so much that Norbert just kept his eyes trained on the back of Penelope's head. Grimwick walked beside him, taking in the variety of costumes the attendees had worn. This world must be large to have such variety. Head Mage Turnbill walked up to the stage and the crowd hushed. Thank you all for coming to the first inaugural Cragstone Academy tournament. Today you will see our top 8 first-year mages compete. It'll be a single elimination tournament where the goal of each contestant is to defeat, yield, knock out, or immobilize their opponent. It should be very exciting. And we're not only the first magical academy to host such a tournament, but we're the first of all of the universal schools. Just to remind you of how much better we are. How progressive we are, putting your donor money to good work. There was an obligatory round of applause, of which the head mage basked in. And to commence these games, I have a very great pleasure to introduce to you our guest who will light the tournament torch, Januarius Bogg, also known as the Crimson Mage. Arthur Bogg made an audible croak. For Norbert, this was the first time he saw Arthur nervous. In the flesh, his father was standing there. Arthur's father had hair that ascended skyward like a fire. His regal robe shined with a metallic thread that was sewn through it. His smile was one of confidence and of arrogance, but one that it might have been earned. Grimwick wanted to punch it. It was nice to come here to the academy that means so much to myself and my family. I met my wife here, who unfortunately was too busy to be here today, and all of my children have attended this fine academy. My youngest, Arthur, is in this very tournament today. I'm sure he will not disappoint the Bogg name. I, of course, wish all of our students the best of luck. He snapped his fingers and a large fiery griffin erupted from his fingertips. It flew around the arena and Norbert could feel the heat on his skin. The griffin did one final swoop and splashed into the pyre. Let the games begin, Head Mage Turnbill yelled. Vine walked up to the stage. The audience wasn't quite sure what to make of her, but the anticipation was growing for the box that she carried. Thank you, Head Mage Turnbill and Mr. Bogg, for the introductions. In this box I have placed the name of each of our students. The order in which they will be pulled will place them in their respective order in the tournament. She reached in and pulled out the first name, Arthur Bogg. The crowd roared. Even his father gave a clap and a thumbs up. And his opponent, Norbert Soot. The crowd was cheering for anything at this point. Norbert's heart sunk. Arthur was a top student. His father was a world-famous mage. Norbert was a nobody. He shouldn't even be in this tournament. Other names were read. Penelope was in the second round. Red was in the fourth. The crowd was even louder and louder. Norbert couldn't hear anything. Then Vine's voice cut through the sound. Norbert, you're up. Time to get to the stage. Arthur was already in the correct place on the stage. Norbert could feel everyone's gaze upon him. Out of embarrassment, his feet started to move. His mouth was dry. His heart was pounding. Before he realized that he was standing on the marble stage, he stared at Arthur, who was smirking. Norbert looked towards Vine. Her expression had the look of someone who could see a carriage crash coming before the drivers. And then she spoke. Begin. And up next in the Grimwick the Demon Cat, Chapter 18, Arthur versus Norbert.